Once I was nobody. This might sound too dramatic, but that's exactly how I felt a few years ago. Back then, I didn't know who I wanted to be, I didn't have any achievements, and the people around me looked at me with pity or indifference. Today, I want to share the story of how I went from being someone on the edge of despair to who I am now. Maybe my story will inspire you if you are in a similar situation. I'll start by saying I wasn't lazy or idle. I tried different things. I went to university, worked part-time jobs, and searched for my place. But wherever I went, it felt like all the doors were closed. I felt trapped by circumstances, unable to break out of the cycle. My attempts to start my own business failed one after another. Sometimes my ideas weren't well thought out, sometimes I didn't have enough money, and sometimes the people I trusted betrayed me. Each time I fell, it became harder to get back up. The turning point came when I found myself in a completely hopeless situation. I had no money, my debts were growing, and I had fewer and fewer friends to support me. At some point I wondered, is there any point in going on? But maybe, at that lowest moment, I realized I had nothing left to lose. That moment became the beginning of change. I decided to rethink my priorities. Instead of chasing success to gain others' approval, I asked myself, what do I really want? This question sounds simple, but finding the answer was incredibly hard. After long reflections, I realized I always dreamed of creating something of my own. It didn't matter if it was a product, a service, or content, as long as it reflected my personality and my values. From that day, I started building my life again. My first step was self-education. I started reading books about business, psychology, and self-improvement. I watched speeches by successful people and studied their journeys. I didn't just absorb information, I learned how to apply it. One of the most valuable habits I developed was keeping a journal. Every evening, I wrote down my thoughts, plans, and analyzed what I had done that day. The next step was changing my environment. I realized that many people in my circle were holding me back. These were people who always complained about life but did nothing to change it. I started limiting my contact with such people and looking for those who wanted to grow. It wasn't easy, as I had to let go of some old friends, but it was worth it. The people I found inspired me, and I was lucky to meet those who believed in me even when I doubted myself. My first real success was creating a small online project. It was a blog about self-development, where I shared my thoughts and experiences. I wrote articles, recorded videos, and tried to be as sincere as possible. At first, my audience was small, but I felt like it was mine. Over time, the blog started bringing in income. At first, not much, but for me, it was a real victory. The main thing was that I saw my work helping others. Then came more. My confidence grew, and I started setting more ambitious goals. I launched an online course based on my experiences. This step was risky since I didn't have a team or many resources. But I believed in my work and gave it my all. The course was successful, and I knew I was on the right path. Today, I can confidently say I found my calling. My projects have grown, and I've built a team of like-minded people who share my values. We don't just make money, we make the world a little better. But most importantly, I've changed as a person. I became more confident, calm, and happy. I stopped fearing failure because now I know every failure is a lesson that brings me closer to my goal. But the story doesn't end here. I want to tell you more about the steps I took to reach my goals and the lessons I learned from each situation. One key moment was embracing discipline. I used to think creative people didn't need strict schedules, that inspiration should come naturally. But reality showed otherwise. I started waking up early, planning my day, and sticking to those plans. This gave me a sense of control over my life. My productivity skyrocketed. I also learned to handle criticism. When I first started writing articles and posting videos, I often received negative comments. At first it hurt. But then I realized criticism is a tool for growth. I began analyzing what I could improve in my content and used feedback to my advantage. Over time, I stopped seeing negativity as a personal attack and started seeing it as an opportunity to grow. Delegating was another big lesson. As my project grew, I realized I couldn't do everything alone. It was hard to trust others with my tasks because I feared they wouldn't do them as well as I would. But learning to delegate freed up my time for strategic planning and creativity, which ultimately led to even greater success. Taking care of my health was also essential. At some point, I realized constant work without rest leads to burnout. I started paying more attention to physical activity, healthy eating, and proper sleep. This not only improved my well-being but also helped me handle stress better. Now, I'd like to share some success stories from my students. For example, one of them, inspired by my course, managed to start a business from scratch. He didn't have resources, but he had a strong desire. He applied all the knowledge he gained, and within a year, his company was generating steady income. Stories like these inspire me even more. If you've listened to my story to the end, I want to tell you one important thing. No matter where you are or what you're going through, remember, everything can change. The key is believing in yourself and being ready to act. Don't wait for circumstances to change on their own. Take control of your life. Learn, try, make mistakes, but don't give up. The world belongs to those who aren't afraid to fall. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. I hope it has inspired you to try something new. Remember, it all starts with one step. Take that step today. Good luck.